What if everything you thought you knew about India was wrong? What if the clichés you grew up seeing in movies of snake charmers, dirty streets, and endless chaos were not just outdated, but deeply unfair? What if the truth is that India is one of the most misunderstood nations on earth, and that living in India could humble you, challenge you, and even change the way you see life itself? This is not a video about stereotypes. This is a story about what happens when you step inside a country that the world has misunderstood for centuries and see it from the inside out. Why do some visitors leave India calling it the dirtiest place they've ever seen, while others describe it as the most spiritually alive nation on earth? Why do Hollywood films still reduce one of the world's most celebrated cuisines to a cheap curry joke? And why do millions of people believe that version without ever setting foot in India? And here's the uncomfortable question. Why is so much of the global narrative about India still stuck in a colonial mindset, even more than 78 years after independence? Here's the truth. Indians take food seriously. Even in the most modest homes, meals are served with pride, care, and respect. Food is not just nourishment here. It is tradition, ritual, and love. To reduce that to a caricature isn't just inaccurate. It insults a civilization. And yet these exaggerated images have shaped Western perceptions for decades, reinforcing the idea that India is exotic, unsanitary. Scroll through online comments about India, and you'll find the same refrain. I went there once. It was filthy. I'll never go back, yes. India has sanitation challenges. No one denies that. But calling the entire country dirty is lazy and misleading. Most Indians keep their homes spotlessly clean. Many even employ someone who comes in daily just to sweep, mop, and maintain them. Blanket statements create false narratives. False narratives shape public opinion, and public opinion can dissuade others from ever visiting and experiencing India for themselves. That's not just wrong, it's a tragedy. To understand India, you must first understand its history, especially its colonial past. Thinkers from across the political spectrum, from Dr. S. Jaishankar to Shashi Tharoor, have reminded the world that the image of India as chaotic and backward was not accidental. It was carefully constructed under colonial rule to justify control. And though the empire is gone, that lens still lingers in media, literature, and casual conversation. This is not always overt racism. It is often subtle, the quiet assumption that India is less than what it truly is. That is why this narrative is so dangerous. It hides behind casual opinion, cloaked in jokes. So what's the solution? It begins with empathy. Travel is not meant to be comfortable. It is meant to transform you. If you arrive in India expecting it to look like the movies, or to match your guidebook's curated version, you are setting yourself up for disappointment. Visit India as a sponge. Be willing to absorb. Be willing to be uncomfortable. Be willing to see life in colors you didn't know existed. India will overwhelm you. It can test your patience. It can challenge your assumptions. But it will also reward you with lessons you will carry for a lifetime. Yes, India can be chaotic. Yes, solo travelers, especially women, must be cautious and street smart. But that is not unique to India. Every city in the world has neighborhoods you avoid after dark. Safety is about being smart, not dismissing an entire country. Those who come to India to build a life, not just to pass through, discover something surprising. The system works. Whether it's registering as a foreign resident or setting up a business, bureaucracy here is often straightforward, provided you have the right documents. In fact, many find that immigration processes in their own countries, including the US, are often tougher and less welcoming. Spend enough time in India and you will notice it. India rewires you. From food habits to time habits, life here moves differently, and slowly you learn to surrender. India gives two priceless gifts, patience and humility. In the West, life can feel like an endless race, a constant push to achieve, to compete, to prove oneself. But in India, life teaches you to slow down. It shows you that not everything can be micromanaged. It reminds you that you are part of something larger, that sometimes you must let go of your own timeline and trust the rhythm of the world. India's social structure is complex. Caste, class, and status shape relationships in subtle ways. But foreigners often find themselves outside this hierarchy, free to move between worlds. From elite drawing rooms to street food stalls, people are welcoming, especially when they see that you respect and understand their culture. Indians do not expect you to know everything, but they do expect you to try. When you make that effort, when you learn, appreciate, and celebrate, doors open and hearts open with them. India is not one country. It is many. Every book, every conversation, every city gives you a new lens, a new fragment of the truth. India teaches you to slow down, to breathe, to surrender your ego, to see life not as a battle to be won, but as a rhythm to be felt. In the end, perhaps the greatest tragedy is not that people misunderstand India. It's that they don't even try to understand it. They settle for lazy stereotypes, borrowed opinions, and decades-old images that no longer reflect reality. They reduce a civilization of 1.4 billion people into a single story, a story that is often unfair, outdated, and incomplete. India is not just a country, it is an experiment. In democracy, in diversity, in coexistence, it is chaos and order, ancient and futuristic, all happening at the same time. It is a land that will challenge you, frustrate you, confuse you, but it will also transform you if you let it. Yes, India has its problems. Every nation does. But those who stop there, those who refuse to look deeper, miss the real story. A story of resilience, innovation, and quiet dignity. A story of families that keep their homes spotless even when the streets outside are dusty. A story of a billion daily acts of survival, faith, and ambition. To misunderstand India is easy. To dismiss it is lazy. But to truly see it, to feel it, requires patience, humility, and empathy. It requires letting go of what you think you know and letting India teach you what it actually is. Because India is not here to perform for anyone's expectations. It does not apologize for existing. It does not ask for permission to be what it is. It simply stands, ancient, unbroken, and still writing its own story. So the question is not whether India measures up to someone else's standard. The question is, are we willing to raise our own standard of curiosity, of openness, of respect? Because when you stop trying to get India and simply let India get to you, that is when the real understanding begins. So tell us in the comments, do you think most people misunderstand India because of the country itself or because of the lens through which they choose to see it?